at least close enough to time. So, I'm Matthew, or Spike, as you prefer.
Hi, Matthew.
I'm an anime fan first and Pony fan second, so I thought hopefully I can get some people crossing over. This will be more of an introduction to anime. Good series that hopefully cross over well with My Little Pony in different ways, and I'll explain how it crosses over well. And it's more of a basic introduction to anime rather than a, I guess, in-depth look or, rarely seen anime. It's just, if you haven't seen anime before, this will be a good introduction. If you have, then maybe this is a few suggested series that you'll be into. And this is an anime right here, but it's an anime-style picture of Fluttershy, so I thought it'd be a good introduction. The slides are going to mainly be a lot of pictures, some video from the shows that I'm talking about, and a few bullet points for me to hit on because this is my first panel I've ever done, so I'm... I don't want to meander too much. I don't want to completely forget what I was even talking about. So, to start, what is anime? Anime is cartoons from Japan, basically. In fact, My Little Pony runs in Japan, both in English and in Japanese. They call it anime because that's their word for cartoons. Or they might have a hipster word for American anime, I guess. I'm not from there, so I don't know yet.
Yeah. Cartoon anime.
What makes it different from cartoons is mostly the art style. You might notice it's a bit different than most American cartoons. Granted, it's starting to have a bigger crossover because it is just an art style, and people from Japan don't necessarily have to draw different than people from anywhere else. It's just kind of how their art style evolved, which was actually influenced by Disney, and then grew off on its own, and now we're trying to kind of match them in a way. I guess anime is a loose term. Some people like to call, say, Avatar: The Last Airbender anime because of how it looks. To me, anime is anything made in Japan for Japanese people, and that even gets a little weird because they outsource a lot of their in-betweens to Korea, or sometimes to other places like Canada or America, whoever's going to do it for them. And a lot of American cartoons outsource their in-betweens to Japan or Korea or other places again. So there's a little bit of an in-between there, so I like to add in it's made for Japanese people. But then again, some anime is made with American audiences in mind too, so really whatever whatever you want to consider anime is good for you. So, moving on. Why should you care? I really like the art style. I think they put a lot, since it's a lot more, I guess, mainstream in Japan than cartoons are in America, although it's growing here. They have bigger budgets, they have a lot more people working on it, a large amount of people that spend their life just trying to be an anime artist or an anime voice actress or voice actor, etc., etc. So it ends up showing in the quality. I guess, in Japan, anime is not considered for kids. Some of it is considered for kids. A lot of it's aimed at teenage area, and some of it's for adults. That's the 18 plus panel. But there's not really any restrictions over what their anime is about. They have good action adventure stories. They have some darker subjects. So you can find whatever you're looking for. Say, like, there's like some of the, I'd say, like, for Oscar-winning or Oscar-nominated films in America that aren't cartoons, you would expect to see some, like, a subject matter that wouldn't normally be in a cartoon. That's not really the case in Japan. Anything can really show up there. So if you have something that you like that you would think you'd never seen in a cartoon, there's probably an anime for you. Like I said, they're voice actors. I'd say in America, there are a few voice actors, actresses, that's what they want to do, but a lot of times it's people, at least I've found from going to anime conventions, it's people that couldn't get into actual acting and started picking up anime voice acting. For a lot of cartoons, there are specific voice actors that's what they do, and they do a great job. And there's a lot of regular actors that are famous, and to get their name in the title, they go ahead and have them be voice actors too. But in Japan, it's usually a lot of specific voice actresses, actors, a lot of people that are singing idols, just kind of like the cream of the crop in voice acting is who ends up doing voice acting at least for a couple of years until they're not famous anymore. And I guess going along with the good stories and variety, you can find whatever you're looking for. If somebody's asking for an anime, I usually ask them, you know, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a comedy, slice of life, action? There's just a lot to go from. So, a quick general.
The wheels on the bus go round and
Some of that. A general crossover is, I'd say I know conventions didn't start with anime, but anime was built up with conventions a while ago. My Little Pony kind of followed, and having gone to both, they are almost generally set up the same way. So if you like anime enough, I'd suggest going to anime conventions. There's several of them in the St. Louis area now, so easy enough to find if you type in anime in St. Louis. In fact, there's one called Anime St. Louis. You might be a fan of cute animation if you like My Little Pony. And cute art style is now kind of the big thing in Japan. It's called moe. And there's a lot of that. Question?
Cuteness in general is actually something in Japan.
Yeah, in general. And as I was explaining before, My Little Pony is shown in Japan. They're a fan of the show too. I didn't have a clip, although I meant to. It's kind of funny. I listened to some of the songs in Japan from My Little Pony, and they kind of redone them with the general same premise, but they've had, because the syllables don't really match up all the time, they've had to reword or rewrite the music a little bit, but it's still really cute. So I think we're going to get started here. Hamtaro is the first thing I think of when I think of pony anime. So I'll explain Hamtaro
That's
first.
an adorable pencil.
As a summary, Hamtaro is about mainly this hamster, but it's a hamster of the owner, Laura, who moves to a new town, doesn't have any friends, she just has a hamster. And she meets other friends who have other hamsters, and when you know, their hamsters become friends and can speak to each other.
Hamster friends.
And that's, I'd say, a little bit of the show. Most of the show is Hamtaro likes to escape from his cage, and so do all the other hamsters. And then they eventually, show by show, keep adding in more friend hamsters. Not every single show, but they do have a huge cast of different types of people that are hamsters. And starting at the beginning, they meet a boss who's kind of a wild hamster. He's not owned by anybody, and he likes to dig. In fact, he has a shovel to dig, which is kind of weird for a hamster, but he creates a clubhouse that they all have rooms in, and they all stay in and have fun with when they escape their cages. And generally, I don't think they ever get caught, if that's a question you have. Somehow the owner never notices that they're gone for hours a day. But the show's a lot about friendship and adventure. They're meeting all these friends, they do things to help each other out because they're friends. Hamtaro specifically is very, very innocent character. Everything that happens he assumes is because of friends. As you'll see in one of the clips I show later. But that's basically a show, this slice of life. Some exciting happens every episode, usually involving a few of them, not all of them. And it's not really a continuous storyline, although it is a bit because there's a lot of recurring characters, but the shows usually wrap up one episode at a time. So even if you just want to jump in the middle of it, it's easy to do. Although, at this point, if you want to find it, I guess you can find it online some places. Otherwise, you find really cheap DVDs of it everywhere, or VHSs if you have a VHS player. If you remember, if you remember what that is.
VHS. 8-track, what's that?
So some of the characters, Hamtaro's the main character. He's the person on the first slide that was gnawing on the pencil. He's very innocent, very happy-go-lucky, always sees the bright side of stuff, so a very good main character for his show. Boss is more of a stubborn, I guess, he sees himself as a leader. if he wasn't so friendly, you would consider him a bully, almost, just because he's really forthright with his opinions and how things need to be done. But I guess he's more considered like an older character, kind of scruffy, but they make him, you know, a lot more friendly. I think at first he didn't want anything to do with Hamtaro, but they kind of convinced him to be friends. Oxnard is Hamtaro's best friend, the second, I guess, really the second hamster that they meet. He's a little slow, but I'd say he's like the tall one from Ed, Edd, and Eddy. Kind of, that kind of mentality. But he's also really fun. He really likes sunflower seeds, and he's constantly eating them through the show. He's just snacking all the time, and he is kind of larger. Bijou is the girl that you see here. She is kind of the love that every character wants to be with. And she kind of has a crush on Hamtaro, but Hamtaro is very innocent and has no idea what's going on. He just likes everybody equally. And then others, there's Pashmina, who's a very motherly character. Penelope's a very young character. Like, I guess it's hard to judge age of a hamster, but he's supposed to be a baby hamster almost. He's always got a blanket with him. Maxwell's a bookworm, and he has a bow tie spot on his chest, wouldn't you know it.
I'm wondering how they got the tiny bow ties. They use tweezers.
And it might be an actual bow in her hair. Yeah, I'm not sure how realistic that is, to be honest.
I mean, is that the same principle as a tiny burrito?
Sandy's sporty, a sporty girl, I guess a lot like Rainbow Dash maybe. Howdy is a southern character, a lot like Applejack, so that you can make a lot of connections there. Snoozer is asleep all the time.
Personality.
One time he disappears, and they're all wondering where he is, so they try to find him, knowing that he's asleep, so why would he be anywhere? I think he was just under a big pile of blankets or something, but that's kind of the assortment of characters that they have. A lot of people that possibly you can relate to, possibly you can make connections with friends or other series such as My Little Pony. This is a big collection of the characters, not all of them, but a lot of them. So Snoozer, as I said, in the bottom left, always asleep. So, here's a clip. I might need to adjust the volume, so please excuse me if I do. This is just the opening to the show, I guess, so you can get an idea.
The English or the...
English. Right. So, anime a lot of times is in Japanese. I tried to get English if I could, but a lot of the series I'm showing here isn't in English. I think Hamtaro's the only one that is. After that, you're going to have to read subtitles, which becomes a normal thing for a lot of anime viewers. But if you're not used to it, hopefully this is an introduction and it's not too much for you. Honestly, after you watch anime for maybe a couple of months, you get used to just reading it so fast.
I don't want to read a moving book.
After about a year, you don't even notice that you're reading. You're just staring at the pictures and kind of in your peripheral vision, it's appearing there and you're just absorbing it. But anyways, this is the English opening. Because Hamtaro is really hard to find in Japanese. I've really tried. Sound okay?
When we work together, it's much better. My best friend. We like sunflower seeds, come from. If she heads for trouble.
Is it skipping?
It is. I don't know if it's...
Well, we're dealing with hotel internet stuff.
That's not even the internet. I have the actual file. I'm going to try and play the actual file here. If it's not any better, then it's probably the video output of my screen, and then I can just lower the video resolution. Let me try again here.
When we work together, it's much better. My best friend. We like sunflower seeds, come from. If she heads for trouble, we won't let her. Little hamsters, big adventures. Laura's gone to school, let's go to our ham clubhouse. We can fix their troubles, just be quiet as a mouse. Watch out for those cats, you know they're smarter than you think. But if we work together, we can make their plans sink. Woo! Snoozer, Howdy, Penelope, Panda. Oxnard, Bijou, Cappy, Maxwell. Dexter, Boss, Pashmina, Tingle. Little hamsters, big adventures. Excuse me while I work, I gotta run in my wheel. Whee!
cookie?
Cindy, that's Cindy.
And I have an actual clip from the show, so that'll be up next year.
Noel's so hopeless. He doesn't have a clue when it comes to handling girls. He should come ask the master if he's having difficulties with his love life. I can give you guys some tips too, if you want.
I'll take a carrot tip if you're handing him out.
So you know my sister, do ya? I kind of remember her, but we were little. She cried a lot, which drove me wacky. So I used to sing to her, to make her stop crying. She looked up to me, which was kind of cool, I guess. Then one day, before I knew what had happened, I was bunking with Noel and my sister wasn't around anymore. It was so long ago, I almost talked myself into thinking the whole sister thing was, you know, like just a dream.
Well, it wasn't a dream and she's real.
Yeah, and she's been singing her heart out trying to find you.
Well, I can't really blame her. All right, lead the way to my sister, Sandy.
Follow us. She's at the clubhouse with all our other friends.
And lots of food.
What kind of grub?
Veggios and carrots and lettuce and lots of dandelions.
Any cute ham-hams there?
Yeah, all of us are cute.
Not exactly what I meant.
Back to my PowerPoint. So next is a show called Silver Spoon. I guess it's a translation. Also known as Gin no Saji. It's come out. It hasn't come out in an English dub, I believe, yet. It is pretty popular, so they might do that. But it's come out with English subtitles officially. This is a show you can find streaming on Crunchyroll.com, among other places. Or you could possibly, I think they might have come out with it on Blu-ray DVD. But anyways, so a summary. This is about a kid who flees. I wrote out a little bit too much here, but flees to a rural high school because he didn't like the expectations and pressure put onto him by his father. He's a smart person, and his father's a businessman and wants him to get super smart and super rich and all that stuff. And
You can't tell me what
he just
to
wanted
do,
to
man.
have a simpler life. So he goes to an ag school, agricultural, thinking it'd be easy because he's from the city. He didn't, which makes this kind of a fish out of water because he's like maybe many of us haven't grown up on the farm, doesn't know exactly how it is to be in the ag business, to raise animals, where food comes from, all of that. The show is slice of life too. It just kind of follows his life around as he's in school learning about all this stuff. Which makes it kind of a comedy at the same time because there's a lot of funny stuff happening, especially with that, being shocked and surprised at what happens. As he's there, he's making new friends because he didn't know anybody at first. In fact, he's kind of opening up himself because he was kind of like, I'll just keep to myself. And, well, I guess they kind of go back and he didn't have a ton of friends in middle school. He was kind of isolated because he was always studying, which is a common thing in Japan. He didn't really have time for friends. He did know a couple people, and they kind of hit up on that later in the show, but it's kind of hard, he finds, at the ag school to not be friends with people because you depend on so many people when you're growing crops and raising animals and learning from them and all that stuff. And when you're bunking with a bunch of people in a dorm, so he just naturally makes friends with a bunch of people even though he's more of an outsider. Usually everybody at the school is all grew up on a farm, their parents own a farm, they already have all this experience. So that's, another thing. He learns responsibility, which kind of hits on later in the show. I ran away from my home. Is that really a responsible thing to do? But he hasn't really had not really that he was spoiled, but he didn't really have to worry about a whole lot besides just studying. So that's a lot of, as he's learning, I guess you're learning not only what it's like to be on the farm, but kind of all these responsibilities and everything too. Here's a cute picture.
Bacon.
It's kind of funny, this show is about, he names a pig, and you're never supposed to name what will be food, because then you don't want to kill it.
I'm going to name my pig bacon.
He named it pork cutlet.
Great name.
And then when it became big enough, he went ahead and sent it out and made bacon of it, and cried while he ate it.
So let me get this right.
Dark,
You made
yeah.
pork cutlet out of pork cutlet?
He did too, because bacon's only the belly. So the story, it's semi-exciting, I guess. There are exciting times, but it's not like, oh my gosh, are they going to make this on time? You know, will they die? It's just, there are episodes where there's like a contest or there's a festival they're putting on. Most of the story is just to help you develop the characters so you start caring about the characters, and that's a big point of the show that I'll get to later with the character section. But you, not that character specifically. But you do really care about the main character. You start caring about his love, I guess, interest. If that works out, you start caring about the side characters because they're all poor farm people that have various experiences in their life. So you learn about the farm life. There's a lot of stuff I didn't know about, which is kind of funny. My sister is a veterinarian, and she had to go through basically farm school first before you can go into vet school. And kind of knew all this. But I kept calling her up and like, did you know? Did you know? And she's like, yeah, duh. It's just another funny story. If you want to be a vet, they make you go through, I guess, butchering school. She had to buy a knife set for butchering, and I was kind of like, that's weird. She's like, yeah, but you have to. And that does kick a lot of people out, because I had a lot of friends that wanted to be vets, and then once they got there, they're like, I don't want to be vets no more. I just wanted to wrap their legs.
How would I help
I didn't want to
save
cut them
animals?
up.
You have to kill them first.
So oftentimes there's a lot of funny things that happen, just fish out of water, but other kind of goofy things that happen. A lot of the characters are goofy themselves. So the characters, there's a lot of unique personalities. It's not everybody's they're all farmers, but some of them are athletics, some of them raise cows, some of them are into crops specifically. It's hard to explain, especially when you're not into ag, but it does a good job of developing these characters and making sure they're not all kind of the same. As I said, they grow a lot through the series. There's episodes where you get to know them, episodes where where you're introduced to them, episodes where you specifically get to know them, episodes that advance their kind of little storyline. As I explained earlier, also they're all comrades in this, the difficulties of farming. There's, I guess you depend on people to do their job, and you don't want to be the person that caused all the crops to fail, the person that didn't milk the cows, the person that forgot to feed the animals. And this involves a lot of waking up at before the crack of dawn to go do your work, and then going to sleep way after you're supposed to, because you also have to study. And there's a little bit of romance in here, which that's not the romance, but I thought it was funny. Everybody thinks the pig's super cute, which is why he didn't want to. Yes.
Looks super.
Oh my God! Hello, I'm Mr. Ed.
They do have ponies. This specifically is supposed to be a very ugly pony, which is why I put it up here for the ironicness.
Best OC ever.
Is it?
Derpy, what happened?
It's based on manga by the art of Full Metal Alchemist. You may be familiar with that anime because it was very popular. So a lot of the characters and the art style is very much the same. Good lighting sounds weird, but they do a lot of with the shadowing and I guess special effects to make things seem cool.
I thought that horse looked a little bit like a homunculus.
There's funny expressions. That's maybe one of them, but as you saw earlier, they overreact to a lot of things, and I think if you've watched Full Metal Alchemist, that's a big part of the show is kind of these faces that they put on as they're going through the show, which helps makes it funnier. It's the newer anime that are coming out now. They just the average quality just keeps getting better and better. And this would be kind of typically in that range where it's animated very well, but there's no really action scenes or anything to make it super cool. There's a lot of standing around talking and then planting and riding the horse. I guess they sit up straight and they kind of bounce around. There's not a whole lot of action scenes though to make it really good animation, but it's definitely quality.
If you look at the horse's nose and just its nose and teeth, it looks like a hollow.
Oh wow, it does. It also has purple eyebrows, which I'm not sure horses usually have.
Those things are eyebrows?
Am I beautiful?
A nice fishy hairstyle. It's a funny character in the show. It doesn't talk or anything, but it has a
It
personality.
should.
Has a personality.
With that face, it should.
A connection to My Little Pony. There are ponies in the show. There's a lot to do with friendships. They're eating pizza, by the way. There was a show. One episode was about making pizza.
There's bacon on that pizza.
They might have saved some of that, not sure. But it's a lot about making friends and, you know, somebody that didn't have friends discovering how easy it could be if you're just part of the action. And then if you like slice of life shows, there's a lot of those out there. If that's a specific genre you like, this is a slice of life show. And a slice of pizza show. So, since that apparently is lagging, I'm going to go to the actual clip. I'm going to start with...
Oh man, enemy of all computers.
Okay, here's the trailer for it. I think it has a bit of subtitles. So...
目的も夢もなく入ったのは北海道大江戸農業高校、通称江戸農。俺を待っていたのは汗と涙と青春と動物たちだった。
駒場一郎、甲子園目指します。
稲田珠子、世界に出ても負けない農業を目指します。同じクラスの見影だよ。見影秋、よろしくね。
風呂の時間だ。着替え入れて1人15分っておかしいだろうが。銀のさじシルバースプーン、フジテレビ他にて7月より放送開始。
Okay, this clip's going to actually have subtitles, and I'd like to warn you a little bit. I'm sorry about the language, but after you get the joke, it's actually using the terms in the correct way, so it's not really that dirty. Oh, there's no sound. What?
No, I heard some, it's just really low.
Yeah, it's really quiet for some reason.
Okay, I'm going to turn it up as loud as I can. Zoom tight again. If it's too quiet, then it's going to just have subtitles.
Well, we have subtitles.
So you can read
That's
it.
what I was thinking.
実習ありまくりなのに部活必須ってたまらんな。たまりません。いいおっぱいしてんな。俺はこの腰のラインがエクセレントですな。おっとこれはまたエクセレントです。ちょっと巨乳すぎね。誰だ。よっしゃ。おお1年か。なんだよ、興味あるなら遠慮するなよ。お前も見たいか。見たいだろ。見せてやるからこっち来い。絶妙な腰幅、獅子のバランス。去年の体型審査チャンピオン、ウェルードちゃんだ。なんなんすかここ。エゾのホルスタインですさ。美しい牛を作り品評会に出したりするホルスタインをこよなく愛する部だ。ホル部に入れよ。一緒に好みの女を作ろうぜ。牛が恋人の白黒の高校生活なんて。
これこれホルブ3年生よ。1年生をいじめてはいけませんよ。その子をお話しなさい。大丈夫ですか。
ありがとうございます。地獄に仏とは
通りすがりの馬術部顧問中島です。困ってることがあったら言いなさい。何、馬術部を探しているとな。ちょうど私もそちらへ行くところです。導いてあげましょう。
牛の美しさがわからんとは。人間の女なんだ。牛乳飲んでる。
I don't want to watch more of that.
So that's the kind of humor there, just so you know.
What's that anime called?
Silver Spoon.
It's called Silver Spoon or Gin Masaji. Okay, so next, Atelier Eska Logi. This show's based off a video game series that they went ahead and made an anime of. So you could play the video game too, it's out in English. As a summary of the show, Eska is the daughter of a great alchemist, and she's also an alchemist, and that's kind of what the game is about, is alchemy to help the better of the society, nearby towns. The alchemy basically is just putting random ingredients in a big black kettle and stirring it until it turns into something else. It's not like turning things to gold, I guess. But and that's kind of how the game goes. I guess in the game, you're supposed to make something, so you go fight monsters until you get the right ingredients, and you come back and mix them in a pot. Logi is basically, her partner is an adventurer that helps her go out and get the items. He has a sword. They make other friends, a lot of side characters along the way. There's a witch and an angel and other sorts of people that are nearby. Basically, the point of the show eventually, besides just going about helping the town, is that they want to explore this floating ruins that nobody's ever been to. And eventually they do get to go there, and I don't want to spoil it too much, so moving on. The story is very slice of life. Like I said, there is a bigger goal, but a lot of times it's just, how can they help the town today? The stories are usually self-contained in one episode, so it's not a very continuous show. It's very, I have a typo. It's a very upbeat show. Eska's probably the most upbeat character I've ever seen in anything. She's always humming cute songs, always smiling, always sees the bright side of things. And they do finish up by going to the floating ruins, which is kind of their goal. But I guess overall, the story doesn't really go anywhere. It's not, every day they get closer to the ruins. It's just kind of they're doing their thing, and then eventually they ask if they can go to the ruins, and the government says, sure, why not? And then they go.
The ruins. Like they asked the government if they could go there?
Yes, apparently the government declared that nobody can go there because it's too dangerous. It's kind of weird setting because it's a fantasy setting, and there's they use blimps, but blimps are considered not maneuverable enough to get in there, but somebody designs a blimp with propellers so they can maneuver themselves better. And that's when they decide, okay, you can probably get there, so we'll let you try. Logi isn't the main character. Explain some of the characters here. Logi on the left there isn't the main character. His name's in the title. He seems like he would be a main character. It's probably one of the more shown sub-characters, but it just really doesn't follow him. It doesn't get too much into his background, and maybe the game does. A lot of times when they make an anime on a game, it's very concatenated, much like movies based on books, where they kind of expect you to already have background knowledge of the series. So yeah, a lot of the episodes, they'll meet a friend, they'll have fun with that friend, and I'll show you that in some of the clips. The show is very moe, which I explained earlier is very cute. A lot of things that happen is just Eska being cute, doing cute things, looking cute in outfits. That's a main part of the point of the show, more than anything else probably. So yeah, some of the characters, there's a witch, there's an explorers that want to explore the different ruins that they meet in the ruins. There's a merchant that's really obsessed with making profit on anything in any way. There's a lot of female characters, but there's a female warrior, which I guess is supposed to be a little different, but now I think about it, most of the characters are female, and I guess it's trying to hit the demographic. The art is
drunk.
Very cute. She might be drunk in this, I don't remember, to be honest.
She's just got these.
The art is, she's not old. gray is an acceptable anime hair color for young people. Yeah, so the art style is trying to make, again, moe is trying to look very cute. I guess the biggest art thing I've noticed that's on the plus side is that there's very creative costumes. It helps accentuate the personalities. It gives it that fantasy look. See, in the animation, everything else I'd say is about average. It's not really detrimental, but it doesn't look like it had a huge budget, I guess. But there isn't a ton of action anyways. They do go into ruins and stuff, so there are scenes like that, but it's not anything too bad for it. Next to My Little Pony, it's cute like My Little Pony. There's a lot of friendship, and as you can see from the witch there, there's also magic. I guess it does kind of follow the theme of friendship is magic, because they get a lot of help from their friends, and they solve problems that they couldn't do by themselves. So, I'll show you a few clips here. Or maybe one clip, I don't remember. I do have two. Okay, I think the preview doesn't have subtitles, but it's just get a feeling of what the show is like. Oops, I just exited. The rest of that was just credits. So here's an actual clip from the show.
ミオさん、ビルベルさん。
今、うちの班長いなかったか？
うん、知り合いなの。前に少し。そうなんですか？そうよ、言わなかったっけ？もちろんあの天然おバカ剣士もね。リンカさんもですか？
失礼だろ。
クローネから聞きました。ミオさんここに住むんですよね。うん、しばらくは薬屋を開くの。
だけど、こんな物置小屋でいいのか？
模様替えしましょう。やるとなったら思いっきりやりたいわね。ここでいいですか？ねえ、ところでこれ何？おお、感覚あるんだ。ありますよ。何それ？どうなってんの？
俺もずっと思ってたんだ。
ただのアクセサリーですけど、動いたり感覚があるのに？
錬金術で作ったものか。
さすがのじいさん。そうです。これは私が作ってくれたものです。お母さんも錬金術師なの？はい。だったというべきかも。私が小さい頃流行り病で亡くなって。ごめんね。いえ、正直お母さんの記憶もあまりないですし。
おかしな話だな。習った錬金術は覚えているのに。
ですよね。エスカ、あんた能天気でお気楽なだけかと思ってたけど、意外と苦労してるのね。そんなことは。あれ、今私何気にひどいこと言われました？ちょっとやる気を出せばこんなもんね。ウィルベルさんは何もしてないような。次は中のものの調達ね。
何がいるかな？
ベッドにテーブル、椅子？小物はセンスが必要だから私とニオが担当するわ。2人は家具担当。はい。センス？
テーブルは折りたたみぐらいでいいかな。
できれば大きなテーブルか。
人暮らしに必要か？
薬の調合に必要なんですよ。
家具ってどこで買えばいいんだ？
そうですね。はいはい、そこ行く錬金術師のお二方。それから怪しい格好をしたお姉さん。カトラちゃん、こんにちは。
誰が怪しいって？
おやおや、これは間違えました。怪しい格好をした美人のお姉さん。ならいいわ。
いいのかよ。
そうだ、カトラちゃん。はい、このお店は家具なんかも扱ってる？
いやいや、どう見たって小物か雑貨程度でしょう。
もちろん扱っておりますとも。ご要望があればどんな品でもお取り寄せいたしますが。そうなんだ。
待ったエスカ。こいつはちゃっかり者だ。結構仲介料取られるぞ。
ごめんなさい。悪いけどやっぱり尻尾。私もこの尻尾欲しい。
ダメ、それはお姉ちゃんのでしょ。
欲しい欲しい欲しい。
もういい加減にしなさい。
欲しい欲しい。
行きますよ。
欲しい。
その尻尾やっぱり気になるよね。子供ならなおさら。
そうですか？錬金術師のお姉さん、その尻尾うちで買い取らせていただけませんか？ダメだよ、これは。
It's a part of me. No.
You can't have a tail, but you can have a kidney.
As you can see, it meanders a lot. It's not really focused, which makes it slice of life. Just stuff that happens to her. Okay, so finally, for the ladies, free Iwatobi Swim Club. If you can't tell why it's for the ladies.
All that water.
Well, there are
Some summary. So it's kind of a sports show about relay swimmers. It starts out as when they're kids, but they kind of split up. Once they get to, I guess it was high school, they kind of got back together as a swim club, but one of them moved away to Australia and they kind of lost contact with him. So basically, they need a fourth member for the relay, because there's 4 different types of swimming strokes on a relay. One person does a lap with each stroke, and that's kind of their teamwork as friends, why they liked it so much. So they do get a fourth member, they do restore the swim club, and then they basically have fun to go out together, more slice of life, I guess. But they do find their old friend who had come back, and is with a rival school, so they have a big rivalry going there, competing with them. They make more friends and compete with them, etc., etc. And of course, there's a lot of abs, shirtless men to keep the women happy.
Oh my.
Here's a picture. Story. It's a sports story. It is slice of life too, but there are a lot of scenes where they're, training montages and competitions and trying to giving their best to give all they can in the spirit of competition. It's kind of normal that way. There's a lot of character development because they do want you to care about the characters. All the characters have their own kind of unique stereotypes that they fit in. There's the rivalry is a big part of the story too, because this character is actually seems kind of like a jerk when he comes back, but it's really just that he wanted to have a big competition, and his friend didn't want to be a competition. He just wanted to have fun swimming with people. He didn't really care about what place he gets in or any of that. And of course, there's the friendship amongst everybody and possibly romance. There's a lot of questionable, iffy scenes where if it were a girl and a guy, you would definitely say it's a romance. Because it's 2 guys and they don't really mention anything. It's just normal, right?
I thought that was a girl.
Yes, well, that's part of making beautiful men is, yes, very metro. Yes, Bishonen, actually, very good way to put it. So the characters. This is the 4th member. He got into swimming because he really thinks, he likes sports because it's beautiful.
He wants to be rare.
He thought swimming was beautiful, he swims the butterfly stroke. So, there's that. There's all sorts of pretty boys and personalities in here. There's hyperactive little kids. There's This guy's really into studying, kind of like how Twilight would go to it. He actually, when he started, he didn't know how to swim when he joined the club for competitive swimming. So he read books on how to swim.
Is there an episode where someone pees in the pool?
No, I don't think they hit up on that topic. They clean the pool a lot. It's a very sanitary thing, I guess.
That would have made for a funny episode.
There are 4 main characters. One's stoic, one's outgoing, one's smart, one's very loyal. So they do match up with the ponies kind of a lot. The rivalry gets, as I explained, gets very intense, and there's a misunderstanding kind of. In the second season, they sort out that misunderstanding, and they become a lot more friends. And the competitiveness is just, let's see who can do better for fun, not because we have to. Yeah, as I explained, turned into a friendly rivalry. And there's one girl character in the show, and this is for the girl viewers, the person that you're supposed to associate with. She points out all the ridiculousness with how they're often naked from the waist up, and how they all are perfect abs, and she knows all of the different muscles and oogles them constantly. So it's often a funny point. The art is very smooth animation. Since it is sports, there are a lot of action going on. It's very bright art. There's a lot of bright colors, as you can see with their hairs, color coordination. I'd say the character design, since they are Bishonen, puts a lot of care into making sure they look cool, and all their little action poses are just when they're standing still or when they're being cornered by another guy behind the school.
Oh my!
No, that looks nice. Oh. And they do a very good job of defining their muscles, because that's a very important part of the show for most people. So, connection to My Little Pony, there's the character personalities match up a lot. This was when he was first trying to swim. He's not dead. He's just not swimming very well.
I don't think this was a good place to hide the body.
Yes, George.
There's a lot of. Friendship is a big part of this show. As you'll see in the clips, I picked out a specific friendship part. And the art and the colors I think fit very well with My Little Pony. It's just they say not to judge a book by its cover, but when I'm looking for a new anime or a new manga to read, I do look at the cover, and if it's bright and pretty and moe, then it's usually more likely for me to pick up. So art and the colors are very attractive to me in this show. So for a few clips.
I
think I just have one clip here.
Oh, the best dance party ever.
あれ何しに来た？無様に負けた俺を笑いに来たか？リン？フリーの試合もこのざま、リレーもメンバーから外された。世界が聞いて呆れる。笑えよ、遠慮はいらねえ。笑えっつってんだろ。結局俺はこの程度の人間だ。リレーでお前らと戦うこともできやしねえ。落ち着けリン。うっせえ。てめえに何がわかる？
わかる。仲間と泳ぐ楽しさ、リレーを共に泳ぐ喜び、それを教えてくれたのリン、お前だ。お前がいてくれたから俺は。黙れ。俺も分かったんだ。気づいたんだ。何のために泳ぐのか、誰のために泳ぐのか。あれっつってんだろ。この木似てるよな。校庭にあったあの桜の木に。だからお前も来たんだろ、ここに。 なんて無理じゃねえんだよ。俺もお前らと泳ぎて、お前らとリレー泳ぎて。今さらもう遅えよ。いや、遅くなんかない。行こう、リン。
あ、いた
リンちゃん。
お前ら、まったくあなたを見てるとイライラするんですよ。泳ぎたいなら泳げばいい。リン、来い。今度は俺が見せてやる。見たことのない景色を。
I'm sorry, you can't go from sharp pointy teeth to looking beautiful.
As you can see, there's a lot of sharp and crispy moments.
His dad was a shark.
But okay, I watched this with my wife. But as a guy, and she's right there.
I didn't watch it.
But as a guy, and I honestly, sports are a big weak point for me. But as a guy, it's a really funny show, especially if you want. I mean, it's meant to be kind of not really, but implying it anyways. Like I said, sharp and crispy moments. And it's fun to just laugh at as long as you're okay with your own sexuality, I guess. Okay, staring at a lot of very muscular abs all the time.
Every day.
It is a show worth getting into. So in closing, anime can be a great find. A lot of people get really absorbed into it. I did. I don't watch a whole lot of cartoons anymore, My Little Pony being an exception because it is very good. But yeah, honestly, I've gotten to where I'm watching about 8 to 10 of the new series as they appear every year, and there's about 25 to 30 series running every season. But watch at your own pace. You don't really have to keep up. There's a lot of classics out there that you can go back to. Am I doing on time? Pretty good. There's a lot of classics you can go back to. A lot of people don't like the classics because the animation is older. It's drawn by hand cells, so it's not quite as good. But in a way, I think that makes it more fun to watch. It just has that kind of nostalgic feel for me anyways. But the newer anime, it's hard to even go wrong as long as it's safe for work, I guess. So find something, I guess if you want suggestions, there's a lot of places to go to get suggestions. I'd look at genres. If there's a certain genre of type of movies or American cartoons you like, there's something out there for you. And I guess since I have about 10 minutes, if there's any questions or comments for any reason, feel free. Back there?
What was that Eska anime called again?
So, it's called Atelier Eska and Logi. It's really hard to spell. It's based off a PS3 game. If you start typing it out, I think Google will try to fill it in for you. I'll go back so you can see the spelling if you want to write it down.
If you do this panel, I can totally feature Oh My Goddess.
That is a good one. I have watched that and I do like the show. There it is for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very cute moe. So it's fun to just sit back and watch a little bit at a time. It's not something I would really marathon, but I don't really marathon anything myself. I get tired after about an hour and I have to do something else because I have ADD. I'm not really that hyperactive.
Amen,
so
brother.
ADD, yeah. Anything else?
Favorite anime ever?
Favorite anime ever?
That
Man.
one that was animated.
Gosh. I used to have favorites. It's gotten to the point to where I just have a lot of favorites now. It really has. I don't know if I always blank on the question too because I've seen so much I have to try and recall it. I used to always say Love Hina was my favorite, but it's weird. After you get a girlfriend or wife, you start not really caring about those shonen harem animes where all the girls are after the one dorky guy. But at the time, I could relate so good to that. I was like, this could be me if girls would just pay attention. But now it's just kind of like, it's not even realistic. But yet nowadays, I get really into sports anime. I guess I really like Prince of Tennis, but I play tennis too. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of dodging the question, but I really don't have a favorite anymore.
All right, let me make it a little easier for you then. Favorite anime film?
Anime film? I really like Porco Rosso, a Studio Ghibli film. And I kind of thought I'd like it because it looked quirky, but when I started watching it, it had a very good noir feel to it. It was like watching a more modern Casablanca film, which I haven't actually seen, but I'm told it's good. But I really cared about the characters. I thought he had a cool stoic vibe to him. It's just a really fun story I really got into, but I'd say overall, if you don't know what genre you like, if you're not sure, you just want to see the best stuff, Studio Ghibli is the way to go. They're sponsored by Disney now, so Disney's putting out their DVDs and Blu-rays.
Aren't they going under, though? I remember hearing an article something like they're going under.
They're not going under, but
Miyazaki
retired. Miyazaki retired. His son's still making films, but he criticizes his own son's films, which is not very nice. But he criticizes everybody's films. But the animation quality, the story quality, it's all on par with Disney, honestly. It's he's won an Oscar for Best Animated Film.
Spirited Away.
Yeah, that was for Spirited Away. It was put out at the same time that it was Treasure Planet was the Disney film that year, which didn't do very good, so it opened it up a little bit. But he's considered by a lot of even people that don't like anime but are film buffs. He's considered one of the best directors, especially in Japan. Yeah, I just watched that lately. I kind of liked it, but I really liked Treasure Island. But I was expecting it to be awful too, so maybe it just went above my expectations.
Same thing.
One more question, I guess, and then I don't see who has this room next, but I want to give them time to set up. Or we can just end it now, that's all good. All right, thanks for showing up, everybody, and I hope I did okay. I'm honored. I really am.